All right, this week we're diving into the absolute white-hot world of semiconductors. And the headlines from Week 51, they're not just about your next faster gadget. Nope, this is about a high-stakes global battle for power.
So is this just a tech race, or is it something more, like a new Cold War? Well, what we're really seeing here is this massive global power struggle playing out on the tiniest stage imaginable, the silicon chip. This has gone way beyond faster phones. We're talking national security, economic dominance, and really, who's going to control the next era of technology?
And check out this quote. The semiconductor market is expected to enter a mega cycle beyond a super cycle. That forecast, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to get into. This isn't just another boom and bust cycle. We're talking about a mega cycle. So what does that even mean? It means historic supply shortages and demand like we've never seen before. Okay, let's unpack that. So let's talk about this new chip mega cycle. It's this incredibly high-stakes environment. The pressure is just immense. You've got car companies like Honda literally stopping production lines because they can't get the chips they need. And at the same time, whole countries are throwing hundreds of billions of dollars at this, just trying to lock down their own chip supplies. This is the new normal.
And if you want to understand the scale we're talking about, look at this number. 700 trillion Korean won. That's what South Korea is planning to invest. We're talking over $500 billion US. This isn't just pocket change or a simple investment. No, this is a full-blown declaration of their technological ambition.
Okay, so that's the big picture. Now let's zoom in on the battle for the leading edge. This is where the real action is, the fierce three-way race between the world's top chip makers. It's more intense than it has ever been.
So on the front lines, you've got the three heavyweights, TSMC, Samsung, and Intel, and they are in a dead heat. Get this, TSMC's next-generation 2-nanometer chips reportedly sold out for years. But Samsung is hot on their heels, talking to huge players like AMD for their own 2-nanometer supply. And you can't count Intel out either. Their next big thing, the 14A process, is already getting attention from NVIDIA and AMD. It really looks like they could be staging a comeback.
And speaking of Intel, wow, they just hit a huge milestone. They installed the industry's very first commercial high-NA EUV lithography tool. That's a mouthful, I know. But it's a critical piece of the puzzle for that 14A process we just mentioned. This is way more than just a simple equipment upgrade, folks. This is a massive signal that their comeback plan, their roadmap, it's actually on track.
Okay, but here's the catch. You can have the most powerful, cutting-edge processors in the world, but they're basically fancy paperweights without memory. And right now, we're facing what you could call the great memory shortage. Why? Well, it's the AI arms race. The demand from AI is just insatiable. It's creating this massive bottleneck and a critical crunch in the supply of high-performance memory.
And this isn't some abstract industry problem. This hits you right in the wallet. Think about this. Memory now makes up about 35% of the total cost of a mid-range smartphone. That's a huge chunk. It puts brands in a really tough spot. Do they cut corners on other features, or do they just jack up the price? Guess which one they usually pick.
So what are companies doing? Well, they're throwing money at the problem, a lot of it. Micron, for instance, just hikes their spending to $20 billion for 2026. But here's the crazy part. Even with that massive investment, their supply of high-bandwidth memory is already fully booked. Demand from AI is just out of control. It's outstripping everything the industry can possibly build. This could actually put a cap on how fast AI itself can grow.
This whole intense fight over memory, it's the perfect setup for where we're going next. Because when a critical technology is controlled by just a handful of players, it forces everyone else to get, creative, and sometimes radical. Which brings us to China's secret EUV project. It's this massive, state-led effort to build the one machine they are forbidden to buy. Some people are even calling it a modern-day Manhattan Project.
So, to really get why this is such a big deal, you need to understand what EUV lithography is. Long story short, it's the absolute holy grail of making chips. It's the one piece of tech that separates the leaders from everybody else. And the machine that does it, it's the most complex thing humanity has ever built. And here's the kicker. One single company, ASML in the Netherlands, has a total 100% global monopoly.
Right, so China is under these strict U.S. export controls, which means they literally cannot buy these machines. So what do? You launch an incredibly audacious plan to build one yourself. And this is a whole-of-nation effort. I mean, they're pulling in everyone: government, universities, tech giants like Huawei. They're offering massive signing bonuses to poach engineers from ASML, and they're even reverse engineering older machines to try and figure out the secrets. It's a huge gamble, but if it pays off, it could completely upend the West's tech dominance.
And this chart really shows you just how monumental this challenge is. They're basically trying two different approaches to create the EUV light source, which is the heart of the machine. But just look at the power output numbers. ASML is at 250 to 600 watts, which you need for high-volume manufacturing. China's prototypes? They're barely making a fraction of that. They have a very, very long way to go.
So you might be asking, why go to all this trouble? Well, because their current workaround is just terrible. They're using older DUV machines, and to make advanced chips, the process is so inefficient that their yield rates are as low as 33%. That means they're throwing away 2 out of every 3 chips they make. And it costs 50% more. So for Beijing, this isn't really a choice. It's an absolute necessity for what they call technological sovereignty. And if they actually pull this off, we could be looking at 2 completely separate tech worlds, fracturing the global supply chain for good.
And all of this high-stakes race, it's sending shockwaves around the world. It's forcing every country, every major company to rethink their strategy and secure their own spot in this new technological reality.
It's like the whole global chessboard is being reset. You've got South Korea going all in with that massive investment. You have Japan, with the government backing its 2-nanometer dreams. Then there's India, emerging as a new manufacturing hub, pulling in huge names like Tata and Apple. Meanwhile, Taiwan's getting more protective of its tech lead, and the US is just continuing to tighten the screws on exports. It's a full-on global scramble for sovereignty.
So what's the big takeaway here? With technology and geopolitics tangled up like this, who's going to write the rules for the next decade? One thing is for sure, the old days of a single globalized supply chain, yeah, that's over. These national projects, these rivalries, their success or failure will define the world for years. The big thing to remember is that the race is well and truly on, and right now, nobody knows who's going to win.